What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. You know what time it is. If you love football, you're in the right place. If you've been living under a rock or just need a refresher, today's news is going to have you absolutely shaken. There's a bombshell drop from the world of the NFL, and it's a storyline you will not want to miss. Hold on to your hats, folks. It looks like the Dallas Cowboys are making a huge move. The rumors are swirling, and breaking news just dropped that the Cowboys are signing none other than Aaron Rodgers to replace Dak Prescott. Yes, you heard that right. That's right, folks. We're talking about the Green Bay legend, the man with 4 MVPs, and one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history signing with the Dallas Cowboys. To replace Dak Prescott? This news is sending shockwaves through the NFL, and we're going to break it all down for you right now. Before we dive into the details, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss any more crazy NFL updates. Trust me, you'll want to stick around because we're covering every angle of this monumental move. Dak Prescott has been the face of the Cowboys offense for a while now. He's had some excellent regular seasons, and no one can deny his leadership and toughness. But when it comes to the playoffs, Dak has struggled in key moments, turning the ball over at critical times and failing to rise to the occasion in games that could have made the difference. With the Cowboys consistently falling short of Super Bowl contention, there's growing pressure from both fans and analysts to make a change. Prescott's latest playoff loss, a heartbreaking performance in a must-win game, left many questioning whether he is the right quarterback to lead the Cowboys back to the promised land. The Cowboys are a team with one of the most talented rosters in the NFL, but without elite quarterback play in big moments, all that talent might go to waste. That's where Aaron Rodgers comes into the picture. A player like Rodgers has been through it all: multiple MVP seasons, huge playoff wins, and the ability to make throws that very few quarterbacks can even dream of. The idea of bringing him in to run the Cowboys' offense is enough to send any fanbase into a frenzy. Rodgers' reputation precedes him. While he might have had his differences with Green Bay's front office over the years, there's no denying his ability to change the course of a season. His elite arm strength, pinpoint accuracy, and clutch performances in the postseason are exactly what the Cowboys could use to finally take them over the top. Think about it: Rodgers has thrown for over 400 touchdowns, has more than 50,000 career passing yards, and he led the Packers to a Super Bowl victory in 2010. Rodgers is simply a different breed when it comes to quarterback play. He's made a name for himself with impossible throws, leadership in tight situations, and the kind of swagger that you need to succeed in the NFL's biggest moments. His impact on the Cowboys' offense would be immediate. Imagine the potential between Rodgers and CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, and Michael Gallup. He could elevate that receiving core to levels they haven't seen in years. With a top-tier defense to back him up, Rodgers could very well be the missing piece to a Cowboys team that's been yearning for that one final push to the Super Bowl. But what about Dak? If this move goes down, it raises a major question: where does Dak Prescott go from here? The Cowboys just gave him a massive contract extension not too long ago, so it seems almost unfathomable that they would give up on him after just a few years. However, the NFL is a business, and if the Cowboys believe that Rodgers is the better option to win now, they may not hesitate to pull the trigger. If Rodgers comes in to replace Dak, the future of Prescott in Dallas becomes murky. Would Dak be traded, or would he stay as a backup to one of the greatest quarterbacks ever to play? The financials of Prescott's contract could play a significant role in this decision as well. Can the Cowboys afford to keep both quarterbacks on the roster? If Dak does stay, could he potentially transition into a mentoring role for Rodgers or even use the opportunity to learn from one of the best in the business? It's a scenario that no one thought would be possible just a few years ago, but the idea of Dak working behind Rodgers might actually not be such a bad situation for the future of both players. The ripple effects of this move could be massive, not just for Dallas but for the entire NFL. Rodgers, who has dominated the NFC North for nearly 2 decades, would now be entering a new division, a new conference, and a new team. The Cowboys' offense would likely look drastically different with Rodgers at the helm, potentially making them one of the most dangerous teams in the league. The NFC playoff picture would immediately change, and the Cowboys, who have been on the cusp of greatness for years, would be seen as legitimate Super Bowl contenders with Rodgers under center. What does this mean for other NFC teams, though? The Philadelphia Eagles, San Francisco 49ers, and Minnesota Vikings will now have a much tougher road to make it to the Super Bowl with the addition of Rodgers to the Cowboys. The power balance in the NFC would shift dramatically, and the Cowboys would suddenly have the best quarterback in the conference, giving them an edge in a race to the top. Let's also talk about what this does for the rest of the NFC East. The Cowboys would have a new lease on life with Rodgers, and their rivalry with the Eagles would take on a whole new level of intensity. Can Jalen Hurts and the Eagles fend off the Cowboys with Rodgers at the helm? The division will become even more competitive, and every matchup between the Cowboys and Eagles will now carry a lot more weight. Meanwhile, the Washington Commanders and New York Giants will have to adjust to the Cowboys' new dominance, which could set the stage for a highly competitive NFC East for years to come. The NFC East, long seen as one of the more unpredictable divisions, might now have a clear powerhouse in the Cowboys, but only time will tell if that will be the case. With Rodgers joining the Cowboys, we also have to consider how this affects the Packers. Green Bay would be losing one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history, someone who has single-handedly carried the franchise for nearly 2 decades. The Packers would have to completely pivot to their next era at the quarterback position. Jordan Love, the young QB they drafted to eventually take over for Rodgers, may finally get his shot. While Love has shown some potential, he's far from the proven commodity that Rodgers is. The Packers' future might now be in the hands of someone who still has a lot to prove. It's a risky proposition for Green Bay, especially after Rodgers led them to so much success over the years. What will the Packers look like without him? That's something fans in Green Bay are undoubtedly wrestling with right now. As we continue to process this earth-shattering potential move, one thing is clear: the NFL as we know it is about to change in a big way. If Aaron Rodgers does indeed sign with the Dallas Cowboys, the entire NFC playoff race will be shaken up. The Cowboys could immediately become the most dangerous team in the NFC, with a Super Bowl window wide open. Dak Prescott's future is uncertain, and the NFC East, and the NFL as a whole, will have to adjust to a new reality with Rodgers leading Dallas. Can the Cowboys finally win that elusive Super Bowl? With Rodgers at the helm, they just might have the best chance they've had in decades. But will it happen? That's the question everyone is asking right now. We'll be keeping a close eye on this story as it develops, so stay tuned. And remember, this is the NFL, and you never know what's coming next. Until then, drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Rodgers to Dallas is a good move? What happens to Dak Prescott? Let's discuss it down there, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with every football fan you know. Until next time, I'm your host, and this has been One Wild NFL Update.